What is going on, guys? You already know who it is, and today I'm going to be bringing you a guide on how to be a demigod at Rainbow Six Siege. Okay, yeah, it's only one. He's going straight downstairs, dude. One's in cargo hold. We got two bogeys in cargo hold over.
Wanna go down now?
Oh my god, I'm not dead.
Blackbeard's double dead.
Oh.
Oh, yes, woman.
Love you.
Got you, daddy. So we're gonna be going into our first part of this video, which is knowing the game. Now this is kind of the boring part of the video, but it works anyways. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege is a tactical first-person shooter video game developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft. Rainbow Six Siege puts heavy emphasis on environmental destruction and cooperation between players. So pretty much what that means is you shoot people, they die, you try and win or do the objective. Now, there's 3 different objectives in the game. You have secure area, hostage, and bomb. We're first gonna start by going over secure area. So, at the start of every game in Rainbow, the attackers start in a drone phase, so where they can scout out their enemies and try and find where the secure, the hostage, or the bombs are located. So, in secure, the entire point is for the attackers to secure the biohazard container in which the room is located. In ranked, the defenders actually get to pick which room they want it to be in. Now, once you go into the secure room, you will get a progress bar in the middle of your screen, which eventually fills up that circle there. Anytime you leave the room, the circle will slowly decrease until you go back in. Now, switching over to hostage rescue. The point of hostage is for the attacking team to rescue the hostage, grab him, and bring him outside. Now, you obviously do not want to kill the hostage since you're trying to save him. The entire point of the defenders is to stop the attacking team from rescuing the hostage. Now, you may think, why can't the defenders just shoot the hostage? If the defenders shoot the hostage, they're going to have to revive the hostage within the given time, otherwise they will lose. Same goes for the attacking team. If the attacking team downs the hostage, they have within the given time before the hostage bleeds out to revive him, or they will lose. Now, in bomb, the attacking team has to defuse the bomb. In most games, it's always the attacking team needs to plant the bomb and the defending team needs to defuse it. Well, in Rainbow Six, it is different. One player starts off with the defuser, and the point is to get to either bomb site, A or B, and plant the defuser. Once the defuser is planted, the goal is for the attackers to defend the planted defuser and not let the defenders break the defuser. One more interesting thing that a lot of people probably won't know about in bomb is if the defuser is planted on a hatch, you can actually blow up the hatch and the defuser will fall out of the room and the attackers will lose the round, as you can see here. Now, we're going to be moving on to the game mechanics section of this guide, in which I will be showing a bunch of in-game examples and pictures of stats. Every operator has their own armor rating and speed rating. You can find this by looking at the operator's profile and info. So I did a test to try and figure out how much damage each armor rating of operator would take from a bullet to the leg, chest, and then the head. In the test, we are using Rook's MP5 with the flash hider in the ACOG scope. Starting off with a 1 armored operator, you can see that a shot to the leg does about 21 damage. Now, the base damage for the MP5 is 33. So, I did some quick math. Well, not quick math, I kind of just looked it up on Google. I figured out that 21 is 63.6% of 33. And I just rounded it to 64%. So if you shoot a 1 armored target in the leg, you're going to be doing about 64% damage of your gun's base damage stats. Now, with a shot to the chest to a level 1 armored operator, the MP5 is going to be doing 28 damage. So that is about 85% of the base damage of your weapon to the chest of a level 1 armored operator. And then a headshot to any operator in the game with any gun in the game will always be a 1-shot kill. So the next test is on a level 2 armored operator. The level 2 armored operator to the leg takes 18 damage, which is 55% damage to the leg of a armor 2 operator. Now, to the chest, this does 76% damage, and then obviously to the head, it's a 1-shot kill. Now, to a level 3 armored operator in the leg, it takes 42% damage, 67% damage to the chest, and then obviously, once again, 1-shot kill to the head. So the picture on screen is each stat to each part of the body for each armor rating of the operators. So any of you visual learners, if this helps you, you can look at this and see it. I do want to warn you though that these values may change depending on what weapon you are using. Now, some other simple game mechanics. Rappelling is a thing in the game for you to get from lower floors to higher floors or higher to lower, things like that. Pretty much anything in the game that you can think of that looks like it's breakable, you can shoot through. That's one of the big things that you need to know about this game. You can shoot through floors, you can shoot through walls, you can shoot through pretty much anything you can think of, like I said. And if you can shoot through it, you can also explode through it or anything like that. Obviously, you can't shoot through like cement and straight up metal. There's actually some metal that you can shoot through in the game, like thin sheet metal or desks or anything like that. And obviously there's prone, crouch, standing, obviously all of those. You can sprint, you can slow walk, and then you can walk. As you can see in the video here, you can also crouch walk and you can slow crouch walk. And then you can obviously just crawl while you're prone. And there's also a leaning mechanic in the game, which is obviously what it sounds like. You can lean left and right and shoot. Okay, now sound in Rainbow Six. So sound in Rainbow Six works a bit differently than pretty much every game that I've ever played. Sound goes around walls, not through walls. So you'll have a guy on the opposite side of the wall, and you'll hear him on maybe your right ear, like as you can see in this clip that I'll play in a second. The sound comes from the closest direction to where you can get to your opponent, or where the gunshots are coming from. So if he is right in front of me here, in here, the closest way to get to him is on my right. So that's where it's playing. So it's going around the walls. So now, and then if I blew up the wall, you would hear him straight in front of me. So I'm gonna let this clip play so you guys can hear how the sound works. Now we're going to move on to our more advanced part of the guide. And we're going to be talking about the flaws in the game and how you can abuse them to win gunfights more. So, in Rainbow Six, there is something called Peeker's Advantage. Now, this is kind of an interesting subject, and it's a way to pretty much win way more gunfights if you learn what it is and how you can abuse it. Pretty much what the Peeker's Advantage is, it has to do with your ping to the server and the server sending it to the other person's screen, stuff like that. So pretty much how it is, there's like about I don't really know the exact time, but there's a couple milliseconds or something delay from when you peek on your screen to when the person that you're peeking sees it. Now, I'm going to show an example on screen so you can maybe get a bit of an idea what I'm talking about. Now, as you could see, when he peeks, I am dead before it's even possible for me to react to him peeking the corner. But on his screen, it was just regular. He was out there, he shot me, and I didn't do anything. Now, you can definitely find some more in-depth videos on this. Serenity made a great video on Peeker's Advantage and camera placement on your character in Rainbow Six, so go check that out. I'll put an annotation on screen too. It's a fantastic video. It goes way more in depth than mine does. But I'm just going to be showing you ways to abuse the Peeker's Advantage and maybe win some more gunfights. So in this, you can see what I'm doing here. I'm leaning as I'm peeking the corner. Now, you may ask, what does this change? Why don't you just lean and peek the corner like the entire time? The reason why you should lean and peek the corner at the same time is because it makes your peek even faster than if you were just leaning and you sidestepped around the corner and shot and went back. Now, this is not an easy thing to do, especially if you use the default key bindings in the game. For me, I use, as my lean keys, I use them on the side of my mouse, so they're my thumb buttons. So it's really easy to peek and lean at the same time, so I can abuse the Peeker's Advantage as much as possible. So this clip here, I have my friend leaning and peeking the wall at the same time, try and kill me. As you can see, it was probably even a bit harder to see him when he peeked the corner and shot me at the same time. Obviously because he's leaning and peeking the corner at the same time, which makes the peek even faster. Now I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison of the lean while peeking the wall and the lean just before you're peeking the wall. Okay, so this picture is the frame of when the person died. So on the left is the one when he didn't lean while peeking. He was leaning previously to peeking. And then the one on the right is he leaned while he was peeking. And as you can see, there's an actual dramatic difference. The one on the left, you can actually see his body, while the one on the right, you can't see him at all. So that just goes to show you leaning while you're peeking is quicker than leaning before you peek. So this test here is doing a camera peek test. So what I'm doing is I'm just sitting up against the wall, just looking out of the left corner of my screen. You can see that. And I'm having him go around the corner until he can see my head and can shoot me. So this angle here, as you can see, if the camera was placed on my head, I would be able to see him, obviously, but it's not. It's placed in the center of your body, so he can actually see me before I can see him, as you can see in this clip here. Now, this test is the same, except I'm going to be actually looking out towards the door, so when he peeks, I should be able to see him. So that pretty much goes to show you that the farther away you are from the wall, the more advantages you're probably going to have on another player. So the best thing you can do is peek while you're leaning as far away from the corner as possible. Once again, I'm going to tell you to go look at Serenity's video, considering his video is way more in depth on the subject than mine actually is. So next I'm going to be going over the operators in Rainbow Six. Now, I'm not going to go over every single operator, but you can look those up yourself if there's some in here that I didn't talk about. But I am going to be talking about the most important operators and which ones you should probably be using every round.
I trust that the ceramic trauma plate I'm wearing will stop a .357 Magnum round traveling at 490 meters per second. I trust myself not to move, not to flinch. I trust my teammates. And they trust me.
So, I'm first going to be starting with the defenders, and the first defender is Rook. He should be used every single round. There's no reason to not use him. He puts down his ceramic plates, or Rook armor, which everyone's going to be calling it, and it reduces damage to everywhere. I mean, obviously except the head, because that's still a one-shot headshot. It reduces damage to the body, the arms and legs and whatnot, all that crap. There's no reason to not have him. The person who chooses him right at the beginning of the round will put down his armor. Everyone picks it up, and that's literally it. That's what he does, and there's no reason to not use him. There's actually more of a chance to get injured in the game if you have on his armor. That's why there's another reason people pair him with Doc sometimes, which Doc really isn't that important, but that's one of the reasons why.
They said it could not be done. They said it was designed for tanks. They said I could not make it smaller and more accurate. They were wrong.
Now, Jaeger is another operator that should be used every single round on defense. He puts down his ADSs, which destroy any incoming projectiles, including Thatcher grenades, Ash grenades, or whatever the heck they are, the Ash launchers, just regular grenades, flashbangs, smokes, any of the projectiles that you can think of. And as you can think, there's no reason to not use him. You can put it by some roamers or a spot that people are going to sit in and put it down there so they don't get naded or flashed out or something like that. And that's pretty much it.
I know what you're wondering. What's in the canister? I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. I'm only mucking about. Relax. As for what's in the canister, it's best you don't ask.
The next defender is going to be Smoke. He should be used every single round on defense. He has smoke canisters, which do a bunch of damage over time to the enemies. Now, you can pretty much use this to block off an entranceway. So just say it's cutting towards the end of a round, and he just starts throwing them. He has 3 of them. He throws one at the door so they can't push in. Otherwise, they're just going to take a bunch of damage, and it's hard to see through it as well. So they're just going to take a bunch of damage, and they're not going to do it. So like 30 seconds left, throws one, waits for it to go away, throws another one, and throws the other one. And then like by that time, there's maybe 5 seconds, or the round's completely over. And there's no reason to never not use Smoke.
I used to be undercover. I did time. I had to deal drugs. I even had to kill. And I was so good at it that it got me a promotion.
So the next operator is going to be Bandit. Bandit is not an operator that should be used every single round. You can use him every round if you want to, but there's not a reason to use him every round. Maps that you want to use him on are maps with garages, like Consulate, House, any of those maps. Mostly because there's big ways to get into a room. So if you reinforce those, he can use his bandit things on the wall so that the thermite can't get through. If you didn't know, the shock charges actually destroy thermites. So they're really good to be used on. Another one is Hereford. On the main floor, there is one wall in there. Like if they blow that up, it's really hard to rotate or cover anything. So trying to hold that wall is very, very important. And obviously with any garages, it's like if they blow up the garage, it's hard to take cover or defend it. So Bandit is very important on maps like that.
In a life-threatening situation, the average person's heartbeat can be upwards of 175 beats per minute. A well-trained tango is able to stay cool, keep calm. Their heart rates can be 70 to 100 beats per minute. But by the time I'm done, that number goes down to 0.
The next operator is Pulse. Pretty much what Pulse does is he has a heartbeat sensor in which he can pretty much see heartbeats through walls. Now, as of right now, the moment that I'm putting this video out and recording this, Pulse just got a new update and he's ridiculously overpowered. So I would recommend using him pretty much every round if you can, because of how overpowered he is. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up some videos on the new Pulse so you can see him. Same with all these characters. Look up actual in-depth analyses of all of the operators and you'll get a better feeling and some tips and tricks for each operator. Now, I am going to say some honorable mentions here. Pretty much the only reason I'm doing this is because some of the operators actually don't have operator videos, like the new DLC operators like Frost and Valkyrie, which are the two of the honorable mentions that I'm going to be saying. Valkyrie is actually a very, very, very good operator. Pretty much what she does, she has 4 black eye cameras, and she can pretty much throw them anywhere on the map. She can't throw them out of the map until the actual round has started. So pretty much that's when they're the best, if you throw them outside right at the start of the rounds. But you can throw them inside in corners and stuff like that, which make them very, very helpful. Second off, I'm going to go with Frost. Frost has welcome mats, as they're called. They're pretty much bear traps, kind of, where they're not really bear traps, but that's kind of what they are, okay? They're traps. If you know where to put these, they're very, very, very effective. I feel like against higher level players, they're even more effective, mostly because the crosshair placement is a really big thing in bigger players, and so they're not looking at the ground all the time, so it might catch them off guard, but who knows. It's also really good on certain maps where there's one cover point to where they can plant the bomb, like on Oregon in the basement. If you come down the stairs from the main lobby, there's a little corner behind a dryer that you can plant and actually have cover. If you put it there, they're going to actually either run into it or they're going to have to shoot it, which may give off that little bit of time to where someone can shoot them or something like that. But other good places, right at the bottom of windows, so when someone rappels in, bam, they get roasted by the welcome mat. And also behind shields is also a good one. And that's really about it. Now we're going to move over to the offensive operators.
When you mix fuel, metal oxide, and metal powder in just the right way, it burns at 2,000 degrees Celsius. Hot enough to cut through nearly any barrier known to man. Throw some C4 into the mix, and you've got one hell of a combination.
So, our first attacking operator is going to be Thermite. Thermite has Thermite breaching charges, which are the only breaching charges in the entire game that can go through reinforced walls. He is the only character that can actually blow through reinforced walls. This is why he's needed every single attacking round. Otherwise, he would just be at an extreme disadvantage on offense.
When I was little, my Savta taught me that silence was a woman's best garment. But I have to admit, I never really took her advice to heart.
Now, Ash is an attacker that isn't really needed every single round, but there's no reason to not use her every single round because her ability is so useful to the point where there's no reason to not use her. Pretty much her breaching rounds can breach through walls, wooden panels that they put over the doors, castle panels, shields. It'll blow up the deployable shields. Pretty much anything you can think of. And another reason why a lot of people use her in ESL, especially, not only just using her for the walls and floors and stuff that you can breach with her, taking out big chunks of barbed wire. That obviously slows you down, so you can just shoot it right at the barbed wire, take out a bunch of it. So she's very, very helpful. She's super fast and has a really good gun.
GPS satellites, unmanned drones, fucking laser sights. The more crutches you have, the more it hurts when they're kicked out from under you. If there's one thing I know for sure, It's that a 6-inch blade never loses reception.
Not gonna lie, that's probably the best operator video in the game. So Thatcher has EMP grenades, and it's exactly what it sounds like they're gonna do. Pretty much what he does, he can take out any electronic in the game with his EMP grenades. Pretty much what most people use him for is Thermite's butt buddy. He follows Thermite around and takes out stuff for Thermite so he can get through walls. Like what I said Bandit does, he takes out Thermite's charges like on the opposite side of walls and stuff like that. If he does the Bandit trick, you're going to need Thatcher to try and stop him from doing that, to destroy his battery charges. And that's exactly what you're going to do. So there's no reason to not have Thatcher on attacking whenever he has a good weapon and a great ability. So, Sledge is another one of those operators that just has a fantastic ability. So, Sledge pretty much can one-hit any destructible wall in the game and actually make a vaultable hole with one hit. He's so self-explanatory. It's ridiculous. He actually comes with grenades. In the honorable mentions, you'll see his counterpart, Buck, and I'll talk a bit about him too. So, some honorable mentions that I want to go over. The first is going to be Buck. Now, Buck is pretty much being used as kind of like a replacement for Sledge, or if someone prefers using Buck over Sledge. There is pros to using Buck, and then there's cons to using Buck, and vice versa. Now, Buck has a skeleton key shotgun, which one shot through a wall, bam, it creates a pretty shootable hole through the wall. Not a vaultable hole, but a shootable hole through the wall. And when he does this, he can switch right back to his gun and shoot through it, while Sledge has to hit the wall, put it back on his back, take out his gun, and then be able to shoot. Buck also comes with grenades, so like I said, it's just pretty much who you prefer using, and that's about it. Another one that I'm going to go over is Twitch. Now, Twitch has a shock drone, which does pretty much the same exact thing as Thatcher's grenades, except it's an actual drone, so it can be shot. Meanwhile, Thatcher's EMP grenades can be taken out by Jaeger charges, but that's not really a big deal. Twitch does have the FAMAS, which in my opinion is probably the best gun in the game, so it's kind of just like whoever you want to use, but I feel like most people should use Thatcher considering he's way more reliable than Twitch is. So, the last thing that I just want to slightly touch on is squad play in Rainbow Six. Now, obviously, squad play in Rainbow Six is pretty much what the game's built around. Team cooperation, as I said in the knowing the game type thing. The thing about having a team, anytime you play, I would recommend just having a 5-man. There's no reason to play with randoms. I mean, unless you're just kind of chilling, you're just trying to have some fun. But I'm talking about just full-on ranked. Play with an entire team, I beg of you. Some things that you all can do is obviously take some notes from the operators that I reviewed and pick who you guys think that you like to run and what a good team would be. Now, I could go over a bunch of ESL strats and ESL character picks, but I don't want to do that in this video. But if you guys want me to make that, like an in-depth ESL type video, definitely leave it in the comments and tell me that you would like it. But like I said, I'm just touching on these things and the important stuff of squad play in Rainbow Six. Obviously, communicating with each other is very, very important. Whenever you die, tell your teammates where you died from and how you died, or who it is, like what operator it is, you know, stuff like that. It's very, very helpful. if you hear somebody, why don't you tell your teammates? Tell them, I think I just heard somebody over here, if you're not sure, or something like that. Another thing is, obviously, coordinate your character picks, your operator picks. Be like, I'm gonna pick Rook, I'm gonna pick Jaeger, I'm gonna pick Bandit, and so you all don't stumble over the character selection screen right at the beginning. Another thing is save your drones, guys. That's another thing I really have to say. Save your drones at the beginning of the round. In the droning phase, find the bombs, or well, I'm really just talking about bomb, to be honest, but find the bomb and don't just sit in there and let your drone get shot. I would recommend, what I usually always do is I leave my drone and just bring it back to the room that I'm going to be breaching into to get into the bomb room. I usually never go directly into the bomb room. I usually go to a room separate of the actual place that I'm going and just kind of leave a drone in there. So whenever you're about to go in there, check that drone, bam, you're cool. So then you actually have 2 drones instead of like 1, considering you get it taken out during the preparation phase, you know? Second thing is, obviously, another thing I'm gonna have to say is communication again. On the defense round, say, you get this wall, I'll get this wall, etc, etc, etc. Place barbed wire here, all that stuff. Put your Jaegers here, anything like that. And another thing I'm gonna have to say is, talking about more on the communication side, if you're trying to breach a wall or someone's putting a thermite charge on, the thermite charge takes a while to put on, and if it's kind of risky, be like, hey, you watch this so he doesn't rush me. Or if you're planting the diffuser, watch that angle so he doesn't rush me and I'll be able to get the plant down. So like I was saying, communication is the biggest part in this game, obviously, and just teamwork in general. All of you guys working as a team, picking different operators that can support each other. Thermite and Thatcher, obviously, those are very, very important operators. Rook is also a great operator, once again, considering you put down the plates, take some extra damage, maybe even win some gunfights that you probably shouldn't have won. And obviously, play the game. All this stuff that I am teaching you is pretty much useless if you don't play the game. Just watching a video won't make you better at the game. I mean, you can watch it and pick up knowledge all you want, but if you can't apply it to the game, then it's just not going to work. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to be like, how do I get my aim better? I can maybe give you tips on how to get your aim better, but it's not, that's just something that kind of comes naturally with playing the game. Once again, crosshair placement and all that stuff, which is very self-explanatory, to be honest. You can't really make a guide on how to make your aim better, besides like you getting your sensitivity right, all that kind of stuff. And another thing is just watch pro players play the game. Watch them play the game. See how they play. That's another way to get better as a squad. Really, that's all I can say about squad play in this game. Well, anyways, guys, I appreciate all of you watching this video. It's very, very important to me that you guys actually enjoyed the video, and I hope you did. If you did, leave a like. I would really, really appreciate it. And I'm also going to be double uploading a video. The reason why I'm doing that is because I don't really know if you guys will like this video or not. Once again, I'm going to say it. If you guys do want me to make like an in-depth ESL tactics type video, leave that in the comments and tell me what you guys think on it and if I should do it or not. And I'm also kind of new to these guide type videos. It's not really my thing. It's like the first time I've ever made a video like this, so I hope I did well and I hope I entertained you guys. I hope you guys learned something. That would have been nice. I do play on PC. I don't really know how much this applies to console players, but I'm hoping that it helps just everyone in general. And thank you all for watching the video. I appreciate it a lot. And go check out the second video that I uploaded. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.